This video is going to go out to Tektontv and Simp Controversy. And that is because I've seen your recent banter and I decided to weigh in on it. Now, Tektontv recently posted a 15 Q&A thing on his channel to give to the atheists who had apparently passed this very easy Christian test. Well, here's my first response to you. You're not testing the Christians. And I'm sitting here going, wait a minute, maybe that's the first people you need to be testing here. You say, well, wait a minute, why should I be testing the Christians? I can't tell you. Let me propose some questions you really should be asking the Christians and see what kind of response you're going to get. You're going to be terribly surprised at what kind of response you're going to get. Question number 1. Was Joan of Arc Noah's wife? True or false? You should ask that, because you're going to be surprised at how many people are going to say what I think they're going to say. Here's another one. Is the Ark of the Covenant a movie prop from Raiders of the Lost Ark? You're going to be really truly surprised at how many people will say what I think they're going to say to that. Or let's get let's go one more here. All right. So the 2 stone tablets of the covenant, you know, the ones with all the big 10 laws. Oh yes, Charlton Heston has those amongst his collection. See what people say to that. You're gonna drop your jaw when you see these things. Come up with 15 of those kind of questions and put them up here, because you're not gonna believe the response you'll get. It's sick and it's pathetic, but it's true. You're gonna drop your jaw. I do that as a challenge to you. I want you to do it just to see what kind of response you're going to get. I do it myself, but I'm so busy with something else right now that I just don't have time to do it. But if I ever do get time and you decide not to, I will. And when you see the responses I get, there you go. But I think you should do it. I really do, because I think your jaw's going to drop when you find out. Don't believe me? Try it. But come up with 15 questions like that and see what those Christians have to say. You're going to be, wow. But anyway, I think there's something that I can say that I seriously doubt you're going to disagree with. If you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. If you teach him how to fish, he eats for a lifetime. I don't think you'll doubt that in any way, shape, or form. And I not only say that to Tektontv, but I also say that to Simp Controversy. I don't think you'll doubt that either. Now here's the thing. I see so many churches today, when this unemployment situation arises, the first thing, what do? Well, we'll help you fill out resumes. Okay. What people do not realize is that major corporations today have you fill out applications on the internet. There is a reason they do this. It is to see if you're even computer savvy enough to be able to do something like that. If you can't even fill out an application on the internet, there's very little chance you're going to get a job. Let's put it to you this way. Would you honestly hire someone to plow fields and plant seeds if they had never done it before in their entire life? Would you give a table saw to a 12-year-old who had never operated a table saw before? Would you hand them any saw at all if they have never used one? They might get hurt. They might get killed doing that. See what I mean? I mean, after all, would you want somebody who had driven nothing more than a bicycle to suddenly drive a tractor trailer? Of course not. The simple fact of the matter is, God doesn't put people in jobs that He knows dang good and well they're not qualified to do, and on top of that, they can get themselves seriously hurt or even killed. I mean, let's get real here. Would you hire somebody that would go into a bakery that had never even so much as baked a cake? Of course not. What I don't understand about churches today, and that doesn't apply to all of them, but there are some churches out there, is they don't provide any free education. None. Oh, pray and it all goes away. Please, I have heard that a million times. Pray and it all goes away. It does not all go away. That's a fairy tale. Are you kidding me? Let me tell you something. The first person that can go up to the Mississippi River, pray, and then the whole Mississippi River disappears, I'd love to meet him. It's ridiculous. It's a fairy tale. Prayer is not to get God to do your bidding, okay? Let me tell you something. If you stand there and you pray that you have a brand new sports car out in your driveway, you're going to look in that driveway and you're going to see nothing appear. Period. Prayer is not a magic trick. Prayer is to get your heart ready to do what God wants you to do. See what I mean? So it's not that you can't pray, it's just your attitude towards prayer that gets to be the problem. And let me tell you something. You can pray all day that you're going to be a firefighter, but if you have never trained to be a firefighter, God is not going to let you become a firefighter. It's that simple. That's a delusion. It's ridiculous. People pray for a job. Well, what are you qualified for? Let me tell you something. If you're no more qualified for a job than getting the job as a paper boy, that's what God's going to make you, as a paper boy. That's the end of the story. If you want a real job, you have to have real job qualifications. That means you have to have job training. Do churches provide this stuff? Often, no. That was the whole point of my YouTube channel, was to give people skills so that they could go out and get employment. And they could do it free of charge. I don't charge my students for this education. It may be the most boring thing you've ever seen, but it will improve your life. And it will give you necessary job skills to get out there and get employment. You learn what I teach you, you will get employment. May not be the best thing in the world, but you will get something. The real question is, Tektontv, simp controversy, you have gotten so involved with knocking down all these atheists that you don't provide a single ounce of job training skills on the internet. Now, of course, you can't provide physical skills. I understand that, so don't even start with that. I understand you can't provide physical skills on the internet. But you can't provide reading tutorials, math tutorials, anything like this. You're so busy with all these atheists that you can't do that? Well, if you can't do it, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and continue doing it myself. Because right now, the number one issue in our society today is the economy. We are simply not well enough trained to do what we need to do. It's just that simple. And I'm doing what I can to fix that. One video at a time. So, am I saying to you, you can't knock down atheists? Hey, go ahead, knock them down. But I'm also saying, why don't you devote some time to training these people? I guarantee you, if you ask them some of the most simplistic of questions, you're going to be surprised at the answers you get. One of the things is, you were talking about old Latin etymology. Do you know, before I came along, hardly anybody, I'm talking a general population here. Generally speaking, a lot of people do not know what etymology even is. So you're standing there talking about Latin etymology, and they have no clue as to what you're talking about. They're sitting there scratching their heads going like this. They say, well, what happened after you came along, Ted? Well, what happened was that I talked about etymology. So some people actually became aware that there was etymology. They got curious about it. They started studying my Italian lessons, and eventually I will be giving Latin lessons as well, when time permits. If you don't have a good vocabulary, you can't read textbooks. If you don't have good math skills, you're not going to make it. In the economy we have today, you better have good math skills or you're screwed. It's that simple. So it's not that I'm telling you guys not to knock down the atheists. Of course, knock them down. But what I'm telling you is that if the biggest problem we have today is the economy, we need to be focusing on that right now. We have more than ample time to knock down these atheists. Okay? That's another place at another time. Right now, our Christians are out of work, our churches are broke. That is wrong. And it's happening because we don't have the job skills to answer for the 21st century. We just don't. And that's wrong. And until that gets fixed, nothing else is going to get fixed. So, I'd like to see your answer on this. Now, before I conclude, I will say this. I've watched a lot of your videos, Tektontv, and I do understand the material. After all, I'm a level 1 data processor, so I should understand the material. I'd be really ashamed if I didn't. And I can also say that you have some rather brilliant material. So, don't think that I have anything particularly wrong with your material. I just think your focus is a little off. When you see Christians being evicted from their homes and starving to death just because they lack job skills, maybe we should fix that first. Then we'll take care of everything else. Or just do both at the same time. And don't tell me about all these other wonderful little channels that have all this education. I've looked them up. They're pathetic. And people just do not have the money to go to school. Don't tell me that. Because let me tell you something. Even if the school was free, they still don't have the money for the transportation to get there. And not always does the bus take them there. I know. Personal experience. So, there you have it. So, it's not that I'm trying to get you to stop with the Christian videos. I think they're great. What I'm trying to do is to get you to also focus on a real problem we're having, not only with the churches, but with the people within the churches. They're going broke, and nobody's stopping it, except for me. And if you guys don't want to deal with that situation, that's fine. At least let the world know that I'm trying to deal with it right now. And I'm going to continue doing it until it's done. So there you go. So, just some thoughts for you. I'd like to see your response. Be kind of interesting. Alright. I'll tell you more in a future video, so stay tuned.